Hello there. I had a couple of viewers express interest in my tackle um, and request a video of my tackle. And so I thought that I would go through it. What you have to understand is that most of what I have, particularly in this box, this is a Plano Guide Elite. I've had this box probably since maybe the mid 90s, possibly earlier. It has older stuff in it. It's got some newer stuff now, but most of the stuff in this is old. Um, and there's old and new in this. We'll get to this uh, at another point. But this is a bass box. I fished when I was younger for bass and catfish and pretty much anything that I could catch, but I was an average bass fisherman on the Shenandoah River here, as well as I would do local ponds and things of that nature for the largemouth bass. And I really enjoyed bass fishing an awful lot, and a lot of my tackle was geared more toward that, although I had options to do other things, particularly panfish, um, perch, and what they call around here a rock bass, which this river used to be full of those. And I haven't caught one of them in so long, it's not even funny, I don't know what's going on. But I spent 20 some odd years out of the water not fishing. And in that time, the river has changed quite a bit. It's not the same river that I'm used to fishing. There's big differences. But I want to go over and go through first this box and look and see what I have and what I fished with. So, like I said, this was my bass box. It's a Plano Guide Elite. It's a very old box. You can tell by the way that the sun has aged it and all of that. I've had this box a while. It holds a lot of gear. Um, I've stopped using it because it's heavy as homemade sin. And, as I got older, it's difficult for me to carry this. If I was in a boat or something like that, then I would bring this. But, the last experience I had with a boat, which was recent, I've come to find that it's really, really difficult for me to get in and out of a boat. Now, I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 the end of this year. And I probably won't be doing a lot of fishing from a boat anymore. It's just difficult and uncomfortable. So I'm a bank fisherman. And this is just too heavy to take bank fishing. But it has different compartments for different, whatever purposes you want. But it has this little front piece that you can open, and you can put, what I usually do is, this is like a catch-all when I'm fishing, okay? For instance, if I use something like bobbers, it's got bobbers up here because I used these bobbers last time I was fishing, and when I was switching from like doing live bait to uh, artificial bait, or maybe I switched to a different hook or a different kind of presentation, instead of trying to put it back exactly where it's supposed to go on the fly, I would just stick stuff here. And this thing's probably been in here 20 years or more. You can see the hook's all rusted and things like that, because this is where I changed rigs and stuff like that, and I just shoved them in there. I also have things like a little scale that weighs up to 8 pounds. I have a larger scale. I don't know if it's in this box or not. I can't remember, but that's normally where it lives. I've got like a line so that I can keep fish on a stringer. You see here, I switched out that bait. Just, that's what it's used for. It's for stuff like there's a remnant of a Carolina rig. Um, and it's just convenient to have because I can, on the fly, I can just chuck stuff in here and keep my fishing without trying to, be orderly enough to put everything exactly back where it goes. And then it has this top compartment. And I keep things like fishing pliers. And there's another bobber in here, and this tends to be, the front of this part tends to be another catch-all for stuff like that too. These boxes, I'm sure that there is a size, a Plano standard size for these, like to have the 36 and the 3700 and all of that. I'm sure that there's a size for this, but they're just little individual divider boxes, and I used to have lures in here, but they went in that other bag you saw, and I'll show you that at some point. But this is kind of panfish, river fishing, where I'm going to get smaller things, and I'm not targeting specifically any kind of fish. These are the rooster tails, or inline spinners, as some people would call them. In several different colors and sizes. In my opinion, these are one of the very best and most consistent type of lures you'll ever throw. They catch almost anything that swims at some point, even big fish. This is my worm gear, different size hooks, and I've got things like a weedless hook or hooks with weed guards. These are O'Shaughnessy hooks. These are a favorite catfish hook. And then of course I've got the cam action that you use for plastic worm fishing. I've got some more straight hooks, if I can get them out, in like bronze. These are larger straight hooks. Well, no, these are cam hooks, more cam hooks, different size. These are smaller than these up here. And I have the swivels and barrel clips and stuff like that for Carolina rigs and switching out crankbaits real quick, worm weights for the same thing. Because I use a lot of plastic, and I always have, because it delivers day in and day out. So that's so that I can rig up plastic baits. And then we have things like, I have a rack here that has spinnerbaits. I forget what brand these are, but they're good quality spinnerbaits. With different blade characteristics and things of that nature. I had more of these, but through the years I lost them. In my opinion, black and white and red are really, really hard to beat. The black and white particularly are natural colors that are in almost any kind of bait fish. I've got one that's kind of like a jig. This is a buzz bait. It goes on top of the water, and you see I have a plastic frog hooked to that one, and then just a a basic white buzzbait. I use other colors, but white and black particularly are um, go-tos for me. And then I have smaller treble hooks for things like crankbaits and stuff like that. Some more of the cam action hooks and some beads for things like Carolina fishing. And then some larger treble hooks, as well as some of the smaller stuff yet for crankbaits and that kind of deal. I have a spare spool for one of my Abu Garcia rigs. This has a 15-pound monofilament on it. The other one is loaded up with either 8 or 10, depending on what I choose at the time that I respool it. So that compartment, and then what we have here is we have 2 individual trays with dividers, and I have like crawfish. This is a green pumpkin colored crawfish. All right. Yeah, I haven't even opened those yet. But green pumpkin, any kind of green, but particularly like the pumpkin color, is really, really good for almost everywhere that I go. Then I have like a watermelon with a red fleck. These I've used one already out of it, but you see it has the red specks in it. And then this is Ozark Trail. It's Walmart's brand of outdoor stuff, and I thought that I would give these a try. They're like the shad looking thing. Shiner shad is what they're calling them. But you ought to try to keep your plastics in the plastic that they come in if you can. Some of them I haven't and some I have. But then I have like various types of lizards. That's a really sweet color on a lot of ponds. It has some, if you look at it, I don't know if you'll be able to tell here, but it has like that, it's purple, but it has red highlights, and there's sort of a translucency along the edges. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not. Fantastic color. These are old. You see how wet that is? That's been in that plastic bag 20-something years. And it's still perfectly fine because it's stored in this plastic bag. And then I have this gourd green color. This is an old one as well. It's a Zoom bait, but this is old stuff. That's a lovely color. I'm just going to go through and show you all the different colors and stuff like that. These are really good. I don't have very many of them left, and they're not in the plastic, but I've used them quite extensively, particularly on local ponds. But it's kind of a brown with a, what they call a pepper flake tail chartreuse. That's a slamming good color on some of the local ponds, or it was 20 years ago. And then I have, this is a plastic worm, but I like the color on this. It's a small It's called a culprit. I don't know who made it, but it might have been Bass Pro Shop. A lot of my fishing tackle and stuff I bought from them. At the time, I would make orders every month or so to replace supplies, and I would order through Bass Pro Shop until we ended up with a really nice local fishing fishing tackle store, and then we ended up losing that store. But this is the black variety of that. I'm not even going to take that out of the bag. And then I like this. This is like a reddish, a red with a, like, I don't know if you can see it, but it has kind of blue iridescent flake in it, and it's transparent looking, and that's still wet as the day it was bought. I tend to go with smaller, shorter. I think have some longer ones, like 7-inch ones and stuff like that. But I tended to go, and still would tend to go with like 5-inch. So we got that. Then rubber frogs, plastic frogs. These are slamming good on a Carolina rig. They do okay on a Texas rig, but I think they are more natural looking to a fish on a Carolina rig because they float up off of the surface instead of, the weight being at the head and holding them down. And I think they move. And then I'm going to try Mr. Ozark Trail Froggy, see how that works. And then the next box is more plastic. Here's some more of those black with the chartreuse tail, and more of the froggies. And I have the green version of those frogs. I like the brown ones. I think produce better than those green ones. But then we have 1/4 ounce jig. You can put whatever you want on that hook or nothing at all and fish it. It's fantastic fish catching lure. These jigs are. These are the weedless jigs. I have one here that is open, a couple here that are open. But, I mean, and you see I put the little swimming grub on the end of that one. But they have the little weed guard to help protect it. This one's fished so much that I've knocked the paint off of one side of the head. But they're great bass lures. And then, of course, we got this pumpkin chartreuse worm. These are the Renegade worms. I don't even know if they make these anymore. With protein flavor added. And you can look in that and you can see it's still wet, because I store them in the plastic bags that they came in. These are rattlesnake lures or worms. These are gourd green. And I have a lot of different colors of worm and stuff like that because when I was fishing back then, I fished a lot of different ponds and places like that that I don't have access to now. These are more rattlesnake. This is pumpkin and firetail. But I don't have access to those ponds anymore. What's happened is, in my absence, either new owners bought them, or more often than not, what they had was people that they let fish on their property and they left their beer cans and their trash and all of that over there and just trashed the place. And so now nobody can fish there. That's what happens. This is new. It's the Ozark Trail sinker stick. It's like a worm. It's just like a stick type worm. It's green pumpkin, but you know what I'm talking about. You can do the what is it called? Wacky rig with it and stuff like that. I can't see those not doing what they need to do. But and then back to some Riverside lures. Got a bite. These are old floating airworm for Carolina and Texas style rigging. I don't know if this company still exists either. See the plastic degrading and it's sticking together. Wow. Still got the scent on it, but these have little air chambers in them. That make the bait float up. And they're fantastic for carrying on a rig. On a Texas rig, they would sit like that off the bottom. Like I said, a lot of this is old. Some of this I don't know. This is another one of those, the floating worms, and like a, I don't know, like a pumpkin flake. That's a beautiful color right there. Just a fantastic, look at the color of that. Just a fantastic color. I want that so that I can see the colors. See that. So that's that. That's all my plastics, that kind of deal. Then what we come to is crankbaits. And these were both full. I have two gross, but a lot of the smaller ones went in the other box that I'm going to show you probably here soon. But I mean, if I can get it open. I've got a Rapala suspend Husky jerk, suspending jerk bait. Then I have, these are all basically no name, no brand. I believe I have a Fluger. Yeah, here, I believe that, no, this is not it. It must be in my other, but that color, just like here, is really good. And I have one of the Fire Tiger. This is Ozark Trail Bait. It's new. Might give that a try at some point. It's a beautiful color. I don't know what this is called. But it has a little fly in front of it that you tie. That was pretty cool. It's a little bait fish going after a fly. You know, a bass or something's going to hit that, right? And these little crankbaits, I have several of them. I prefer like the short bills that don't go very deep. But I mean, if you look, I have some longer billed ones. These are smaller sizes. I've got several of these in several different colors, and they are like a no brand that I got like an 8-pack of 20 something years ago somewhere, probably Walmart. But I mean, the square bill, this is a Rebel, We Are. I don't know if Rebel makes that anymore. That's a very old crankbait, and it looks it. This is a Bagley's. That's a really beautiful color, and it's like a 4 to 6 foot diver at the most. And then on this river and on all the ponds around here, an old-fashioned jitterbug is really, really hard to beat for top water, which, by the way, is what I'll do with most of these. It's just they're jerk baits, and a lot of people will take them and use them fast as a jerk bait. They'll jerk them along the water and have them walk. Okay, but what I like to do is in the evening throw this out and just let it float. Wait till the ripples go away from where it hit the water, and then just twitch it. Wait a while and give it a couple more twitches. Wait a while and twitch it. That kind of deal. And if the fish are biting, they'll blow the top of the water up after these. Fun fishing, but you have to wait a minute when they hit it and make sure they got it in their mouth before you just, if you jerk the hook immediately, you'll miss them every time. But I had that color and this color, the Fire Tiger color, and a Rapala original floating. Okay, and I lost them on Lake Frederick in the last month of hunting, and so I'm not replacing them with, because I'll just lose them again. I'll use these cheaper ones. But this is that Husky jerk, and it's a suspending jerk bait. And these, I love this because it will sit right there in the water at the depth that you've got it at. When you stop, it doesn't go back up, float back up, and it doesn't sink. It'll just sit there. And that's really, really a natural kind of look. And so I love that. It's natural, a natural kind of action for bait fish. Where's the lid for that? There it is. They are always, those types of baits are always well worth having. Now this is so old, it's very, very hard to close them. And then we have the last of the crankbait that I have here, and some other lures. I have some plastic in here. These are called, I believe it's a helicopter lure, Roland Martin. I think I have the brochure up in here if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, along with some more swivels. But yeah, this was, what's the copyright on this? $19.94. These are really nice baits. They flutter and spin as they drop. They're kind of like a, I would use them as a drop bait, but you can retrieve them and they will spin as well. But, you know, as you would throw it in and let it sink down, almost jigging with it into places where you're pretty sure the fish are, kind of deal. And if they're there, they will pull them out. I mean, I've got, it looks like that. I guess that's why they call it a helicopter lure. They catch fish quite a bit. But I've got yellow and chartreuse and white and like a frosted black or something like that. I also have 3 lures in here. This is the largest of them. They're Storm Lightning Shad. Storm is a tackle company that doesn't exist. It either was absorbed into another tackle company, which is really popular now. I'm not sure what, maybe Rebel, but I'm not sure, I can't remember. Or it was kind of a subsidiary of theirs that they discontinued, but these are not made anymore. It's a Lightning Shad. I have this larger one and 2 smaller ones. And they're great little crankbaits. The 2 smaller ones are almost identical, but there are differences in the color pattern and the way, not the pattern, but how much of like the bluish purple or reddish kind of color there is as compared to the belly and all of that. Just little differences that of the same model that make the lures a bit different. These are fantastic lures, but they're old lures that don't, the company doesn't exist anymore, and I'm not going to fish with them anymore. Unless I'm fishing in really nice places that I know I have a good chance of not snagging and losing them. This is one of those cheaper ones that I was talking about, but that's a really nice color. This is, I forget who made, I think it's a Pose. This is an old crankbait here. I actually probably should change some of these hooks, but I don't use them as much anymore. It's kind of a deep diver. There. It looks like a race car to me. But, and of course then we have the a couple of the smaller. Then topwater. This I think I'm this a torpedo bait. I forget who makes it. I can't read the name of it. But it's Tiny Torpedo is the name of it. Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to read that or not. But this is a really cool bait, particularly on small ponds, things like that. It's topwater bait. I like topwater baits. This is a Zara Spook. It's a jerk bait. It dances across the water. This is a slamming good bait for largemouth bass. And the popper is something that I think should be in everybody's tackle box. It's fantastic topwater lure too. So that is my bass box and all that it contains at the moment. I hope that you got a good look. See, we're gonna go over this. This is my panfish setup in another video. That's likely to be a lot shorter than this one, but that's all right. This video is probably long enough, so we're gonna go over this in the second video, and then I'll do a third video, unless this only takes a few minutes, showing my rods and my reels, things like that. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.